Hello, and welcome to another live stream of Scary Bazaar. As always, I am your hostess, Miss Spooky. And as you can see, we have no painting. That is because today I am hoping to do something just a little bit different. I am going to be making one of my scrunchies here for you guys, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to do it. That way, if you're interested, you can make them yourself. If not, or if you have no skills with crocheting and don't know anybody who does, I'm thinking about making these little things made to order, like, I don't know, $5 a piece, plus shipping. That seems fair to me. Let's get to it. What you're gonna need is a pair of scissors, a hair scrunchie. This one here is pretty old and worn. If I was gonna be making them, you know, to order, I'd buy, like, new materials for everything, obviously. Worsted weight yarn. I use Red Heart or any of the like acrylic, the plastic fiber yarn, because it's pretty sturdy. It's fairly stain resistant. I just like it. I use it a lot for stuffed animals, which is why I have a whole bunch of it, because I mostly knit dolls and things. Anyway, you're gonna need some kind of needle here. I've got my little crescent needle here, one that will allow you to string beads onto your yarn, and you're going to put 22 of them on here. And then you need your G-hook, or your size 6. No. Is that a 6 or a 9? I think that's a 6. Alright, so we're going to get started here. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the end of your yarn, and you're going to tie it onto your little hair tie here. I'm going to double knot it because I just want to make sure it doesn't come off. And if you have to, you know, leave the tail a little long and then trim it down later, that's cool. You know, it doesn't matter. Hopefully, because this yarn has just been sitting in my box for some time, hopefully it's not all knotted up and full of knots and stuff, because if it is, then my beading here is going to get all messed up. I'm going to have to cut it loose and then cut around the knot and then restring the beads and then tie it back on, and that can be a nuisance. So hopefully it's just one big continuous strand of yarn and it's not going to be interrupted, because that is what you're going to need. You don't need a lot of yarn to do this, but you do need a long continuous piece that hasn't just been like cut up and then tied back together if you're wanting to do the beads the way that I do them. Okay. And now we are going to crochet 45 little stitches around, and how we start is first we take our hook underneath, or, you know, we go through the center of our little hair tie, and then we hook a thing here, and then we go over, and that's just going to be our starting. I don't count that one as one. It's similar to the magic ring kind of thing, if you know how the magic ring works. And then from there, we just do it again, and we're going to do 45 of them. You hook through, around, 1, 2. You don't want it to be too tight, because you want it to still kind of be able to move a little bit. I picked up another loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Just turn this into a storm.
6.
How?
7. 8. 9. 11. I might not do these things made to order. I might just buy a whole bunch of materials and then just make up a whole bunch of, like, you know, a certain kind, and then just sell them for $5 a piece. I just lost my count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. But this is definitely a signature spooky product, a classic Scary Bazaar, because this is the scrunchie that I make and wear. I mean, this is my style of scrunchie, so if you want to dress like Miss Spooky here, you know, or if you want to, you know, get in on the spooky look, the whatchamacallit, the scrunchie is definitely the way to go. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and this is what I actually wear in place of my witch's hat. For those of you who are into the New Age stuff. Oh yeah, and that's the thing, you slide down your beads as you go until you get to the point where you need them, which is the very end of the project. You know, instead of a wizard's hat or a witch's hat, I use my scrunchies, because each colors means something. If you do string magic or knotting magic, the crocheting, you can imbue them with power that way. You can get beads that are actual gemstones, or the colors of the beads, the shape of the beads, that all means stuff too. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. But if you're not into any of that new agey witchcrafty mess, then you know, they look really cool too. I think they're adorable. 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. And then you kind of want to get all of your chain here all kind of facing around the same direction, kind of around the outside. You can separate them more evenly around if you want to, but kind of the idea, you know, of a scrunchie is that the crochet chain around is just a little bit bigger than your hair tie, so that it gives it that kind of scrunchy look. And then once you get all the way around, you just slip stitch in the first one to close. And then we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to single crochet back down into the same stitch we just slip stitched in. And we're going to do that like every other one around. So the next one we're just going to slip stitch in, leave it, move on to the next one, slip stitch, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, come back down, single crochet in the exact same one. So what we're doing is we're making these little loops with a space in between each one of them. And you just do that all the way around to the end. Make sure I'm still filming. Yes, I am. Right. Slip. That's the sound of my son. He's playing on the couch. He's taking my crochet hooks. I don't know why. Probably because I'm over here crocheting, you know. 4. That should give you about 21 or 22 of these little things around, which is why I strung 22 beads onto the yarn just in case, because these are going to be like the flowery petal things all the way around, and at the very tips of them is where we're putting our beads at. And this project is so quick and easy, it whips up so fast. It's so fast. Lancer, could you keep it down just a little bit, sweetie? Okay? I'm recording over here, okay, buddy? 1, 2, 3, 4. Wife and mother comes first. That is my first job all day, every day, is wife and mom. Which is why whenever my husband has a day off, because sometimes he'll just work like 2-3 weeks, a whole month straight sometimes, not even a day off. If the weather's good, they work, you know, that's how the construction bee do. But occasionally they'll just take a day off just because, and yesterday my husband did. It's usually on the weekends because they do a lot of exterior fences and decks and stuff. 2, 3, 4, and people, you know, like to do cookouts and stuff on the weekends, so, you know, sometimes clients will call in and tell us not to come in because they're hosting a party, and, you know, that's fine with us. It just means we don't have to work. So, yeah, yesterday was a day off for us. It was pretty fun. We had like a little family day. It was good. We mostly just all laid in bed and ate junk food and were lazy and slept. It was sweet. As you can see, it's already kind of getting the scrunchie shape going a little bit. Now, of course, I would recommend matching the color of your hair tie to the color of your yarn as closely as you can. I didn't have a white hair tie. I only had this yellow one, and I'm not about to go out and buy any new ones just yet. I have one in my hair that I'm wearing right now that I haven't scrunchified yet. But other than that, I'm pretty much just turning all of my hair ties into scrunchies because I think they're going to make a comeback. I don't know why I got that feeling, but I do, and I think scrunchies are going to make a comeback. Oh, thank you, sweetie. He's been going through a peanut butter and jelly kick where all he's doing is eating peanut butter and jellies. But I think that's normal for little kids. They're obsessed with things. So right now, Night of the Living Dead is his absolute favorite movie. He watches it like 4 times a day. And then all he eats is peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But, you know, before that, all he was eating was hot dogs.
That has 3 buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still quick.
He's a good kid, though. I love yarn. I prefer knitting and crocheting to sewing. I don't know why. Sewing, in my opinion, is a lot faster, and you can do some things with it that you can't, with fabric, that you can't really just do with yarn or string. But I don't know, this is more calming to me. I like zone out doing this because it's just so repetitive with the patterns, and it's nice, and I don't always have to think so hard about doing it while I'm doing it. Color and string, that's what's always spoken to me, as it were. It's like recently I've started doing research into hoodoo. I don't know, I've always, see, I'm a gray, call myself a gray mage, a gray witch, because I kind of work in both light and dark. It's like when I say I'm a practicing necromancer, I'm not like summoning demons, I'm more Constantine-ish with it, I guess, you know, I'm more of a demonologist kind of thing, you know, a mediator between life and death, as it were. But, I don't know, recently, or hoodoo has always just kind of held a fascination for me for the longest time now. Recently, I've downloaded some PDFs, and I'm kind of looking into it a little bit more. Maybe it's just from growing up in the South, hoodoo's kind of a thing down here, more in Louisiana than anywhere else. But, and maybe it's because my father's side is Catholic, and hoodoo is like Catholic voodoo in a way. I don't know, I've been kind of getting into that recently too, just studying it if nothing else, maybe not necessarily practicing it, but, you know, you gotta know thy enemy in certain cases, not to say hoodoo's bad or evil or is the enemy, but, you know, it's like, you study all different branches of magic, so in case you come across something, you know how to deal with it, you know, Witcher style and all that. But the spirit realm has always been what I've been most into, that's for sure. But it looks like we got like maybe one too many through there. That's no big deal. That doesn't really matter too much. Oh, no, maybe not. No, we did. We got it. Yeah, because that's going to be the side of that one, so then this one's going to be the space in between. This one's going to have a loop in it, and then that's the space in between that one. Nope, that worked out perfectly. Sometimes if your count's just a little bit off, I mean, just fudge it a little bit. You know, it's not that big of a deal. That's the thing, is that, you know, I say it's not, I guess, what you do or what you believe that makes you evil. It's how you practice it, or, you know, how you do it so much. With great power comes great responsibility, that kind of thing. Again, growing up in the South in the Bible Belt, I can say, you know, I've seen a lot of corrupt religious practices and things that I would consider very evil in nature that claim not to be, because they have been done, you know, in the name of the Lord or something. But it's, I don't know, it's not what you believe in, it's how you practice or how you live your life, in my opinion. Okay, so now what we're going to do is all of the spaces that we slip stitch in between each ones are going to have single crochets in them. So we're going to single crochet in the next one, and then we're going to do 4 double crochets in the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to do a single crochet off, or, you know, like a chain 1 off of that, but we're going to do it with the bead. And how we do that is we loop it, or really I have to take it off the hook to do that. You're going to kind of make your loop a little bit bigger so that you can pull your bead through, and then you're going to put your hook, you know, back through the loop and pull it as tight as you can with the bead on there. And then we're going to do 4 more double crochets back into the same loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, just like that. And then we're going to go to the space in the middle here, that slip stitch we did in the previous row. We're going to single crochet in that one, and then we're just going to do it all over again. Next loop, 4 double crochet, chain 1 with the bead, 4 double crochet, single crochet in the little slip stitch thing. 1, 2. Oh, and keep sliding your beads down there as you go, you know, as you need more space. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's how I like to add bead to my work, rather than just trying to embroider them afterwards, if possible. Some things you use, the beads are just so small, and it's practically embroidery work anyway, what you're doing, so you might as well just embroider them on there. But if possible, I like to crochet all of my beads and my buttons into the work, because I feel like it holds better than trying to just sew them on afterwards with sewing thread. Make sure I'm still filming. Yes, I am. This one I might... Oop, I almost slip stitched that one. I might try to download this one and post this one to my YouTube as well, because it is kind of more of a how-to kind of thing. This project is so easy that, you know, anybody who does crochet, even I think a beginner could, who's looking to test their skills a little bit, challenge their worth. If you're a beginner looking for something with just a little bit more challenge that isn't too challenging, these little scrunchies are perfect. And they work up so fast, and you don't need a whole lot of yarn left to make them. If you've just got scraps or partial skeins from other projects you don't quite know what to do with, you whip up a whole bunch of scrunchies for parties or just gifts, or yeah, gifts for parties. Any kind of party, wedding, funeral, baby shower, your kid's birthday, I don't care, you know. They're a good way to use up some extra yarn, and they're super quick and easy. Oh, I don't know so much about giving out party favors at a funeral. Heck, I'd do it. So I don't want my funeral to be a sad thing. Everybody better come ready to party, because that's just how it's going down. You know, unless I die tragically at a young age, that's different. But if I live to a ripe old age and my life is good and everything's good, and I don't want people coming to my funeral being sad, you know. Be like, celebrate the fact that I lived to an old age and died peacefully in my sleep. It's not a sad thing, that's great. Everybody dies eventually, that's the best way to do it. I think it might be official, though. I think my son might be going as Bendy for Halloween instead of Beetlejuice. Which is fine, because then that just means my husband can go as Beetlejuice, and him and I will just have a couple's costume. I don't know if I'm going to have enough. See, I was down to just very little black yarn before I started embroidering my Lydia costume, because I crocheted her whole red spider poncho, and I had to go back and embroider the spider web design onto it. But I'd like to, if I have enough yarn, I'm gonna make my final little scrunchie for myself with my black yarn, and kind of I don't have white little crystal beads, but I've got light purple ones, and I'm going to do that instead. But yeah, I mean, tell me what you think. Would you buy these? Yes, no? Should I sell them in sets of 2 instead of just 1? Because they're so, I mean, I could do sets of 2. That wouldn't be a problem for, you know, I don't want to do too cheap, but I don't want them to be too expensive either. That's something I've looked at on Etsy. It's like, either people are charging so little for their crafts that there's no way they're making money on them, or they're so expensive that there's no way anybody's going to buy them. You know, I think $5 or, you know, maybe $7 for 2. I'd do $7 for 2 plus shipping. That sounds fair to me. Especially since a lot of things that I see on there are, I don't want to say up to the skill level I work at, but I do some pretty complex things with my yarns sometimes. I don't have anything to show just yet, but I've never really been formally taught how to do any of the stuff I do. I just kind of grab a book or watch a video and then figure it out, and then I kind of envision what I want, and then I just kind of make it work, even if there's no like written technique. on how to do something, I'll just kind of figure it out and make it up and make it work and make it look nice, kind of. But this isn't fancy. This is pretty straightforward. Now, the only thing I do in this one that it's not like I've never seen it other places, but for the most part, people seem to sew their beads and buttons on after the fact rather than embroider them into the work. But I have seen other places where they embroider them or crochet them directly into the work rather than embroider them on afterwards. And as you can already kind of see, it's bunching up around the edges here. It's already kind of getting kind of a flowery look, kind of a scrunchy look going on at the same time. And this is the last thing. Once you've done this all the way around, you can tie off at the end, weave in your ends, and then put in your hair because you're good to go. I'm just going to work it all the way to the end just to show you guys if I can, as long as my connection stays well and doesn't cut out on me. So yes, if you like what I've got going on, like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to try to go do live shows somewhat daily on my Instagram. I don't know, I might start going live on YouTube as well. Like, do one in the mornings, one in the evenings kind of things, especially if I can save the videos from YouTube as well, because then I can, you know, record my paintings live and then put it all together in a speed painting video that I publish later with some sort of conspiracy theory talk or cryptid or ghost story or something like I like to do. So I would eventually like my YouTube to be somewhat active. I still think that my Instagram is probably going to be my most active social media no matter what happens. I don't do Twitter at all. I've tried it a little bit. I've tried Tumblr too. I don't quite get Tumblr. I am on the Amino app, the Art Amino, the most popular one. But I only post like finished projects there, and even then I'm not very good about posting to Amino. I've got several things that I haven't posted yet that I should. I'm also on Legion of Artists, but I've only posted one thing to it, and I'm not really completely sure how it works, and so I'm just kind of trying to figure that out. No, mostly Instagram, Snapchat, and YouTube. That's what I'm doing right now. If you're interested in following me on other platforms, those would be it. So yeah, so if I end up posting this to YouTube, and that's where you're watching it, go visit my Instagram at Scary Bazaar. You know, like me there. Tell your friends about me. I like horror, surreal themed art, or fantasy art with a little bit of erotic undertones going on, but I also am very crafty and I like to do crafts, mostly knitting and crocheting, but I sew, I make friendship chokers. I like to make them in full-blown chokers, not just bracelets. I mean, I do some things. I also rant about stuff. I talk about spooky things, horror movies, conspiracy theories, unexplained phenomena, etc., etc. Not so much with this one, because I do have to kind of count as I go and keep track, so it makes it hard for my brain to kind of multi-function, you know, to tell a story while I'm doing this at the same time. Yeah, this is more just a how-to for you. And if you guys are, you know, dudes, and making hair scrunchies isn't something you're interested in at all, well, I'm sure you've got chick friends and sisters and girlfriends and stuff. I mean, who may be interested in something like this. I am, for the most part, female after all, so you're going to get a lot of female-oriented craft projects. That's just kind of the way it is. You'll also get a lot of children's themes craft, because I'm also a mom and I'm constantly making stuff for my son, like hats. Oh, I made him a Stan hat from South Park. You know, Stan from South Park, I made him a poofball hat one year when he was 1. And then when he was 2, I made him a Batman mask. He really liked that. Yeah, but as you can see by this project, you can whip it up in less than 2 hours, less than 1 if you're pretty skilled and you're just like sitting down focused on doing it. These things are so fast and they're so pretty. In my opinion, they're pretty. And you can get all kinds of beads and all kinds of yarn. Heck, you can get like genuine crystals. Sell the, what is it? I can't pronounce it, but you can get like the actual crystal beads at Hobby Lobby if you want to get real fancy with it. Get that genuine Tibetan alpaca wool yarn. Get like mega high society with your crocheted scrunchies. I'm just using plastic yarn with plastic beads. But personally, I'm less about name brands and more about if it looks good and does what it's supposed to, that's great. I don't care what brand it is. Off-brands are the best. Yay, cheapskates. Hobby Lobby has, because Red Heart, I believe, is the cheap brand that Walmart sells. Hobby Lobby sells, I think it's R&B or something like that. But it's a little bit more expensive than the Red Heart, but in my opinion, it's also a little bit nicer. It's definitely a little bit softer. I think it's called Yarn Bee. Because as far as like clothes or anything that I would wear like right up against my skin, I wouldn't use the Red Heart for that. Because it is, it is a little bit scratchier, a little bit tougher. Like the outerwear, I used it for my poncho, for my costume, because that's just going to be outerwear. But also, if you're trying to make something that's like all delicate and cutesy and lacy and stuff, I would use a softer, sleeker yarn than this for sure. But these scrunchies, yeah, the Red Heart's just fine for that. So it's when picking out your yarn, it's very important to think about the way you want whatever you're working on, the way you want it to flow, the way you want it to look, the way you want it to feel. You've got to take all of that into consideration when picking out your yarns for projects. It's like I'm making a skirt right now also. I'm crocheting a skirt, and I'm going to make a, it's like the half jacket. I can't remember what they're called. The shawl? No. Anyway, and I'm doing all that out of the Red Heart yarn, but I'm wanting it to be a little bit stiffer and a little bit warmer because it's the fall season, the weather's getting cooler, so I'm trying to come up with, I'm working on making an outfit that's gonna fit the fall weather somewhat, and get rid of all of my gray yarn. I have like 15 skeins of gray yarn that I have done nothing with. Yeah, you heard me, 15 skeins. When I'm done with this, sweetie, and I'm almost done, then we'll draw pictures, okay? Aw, he's looking at me all sad.
I'm looking at you happy.
Oh, you're happy now. Might get him set up with his little easel. He likes to paint pictures, too. Tuesdays are usually my grocery shopping days, so I don't know if I'm going to be very active tomorrow mostly because I like to shop around for a bunch of good deals, so I make multiple stops at multiple different grocery stores, which I usually record the daily events on my Snapchat. The thing is that my Snapchat's a little more behind the scenes than my Instagram is. You know, my Instagram, I'll kind of do works in progress and stuff, but my Snapchat is, I guess, more my life oriented, like all aspects of my life oriented, more so than my Instagram is, I suppose. I guess is what I'm getting at. So if you're wondering why I'm not on Instagram or why I haven't posted anything for a little bit, you can usually just go and check my Snapchat and you'll kind of know what's up, because I'm usually probably busy with something else, whether it be secretarying for my husband and brother-in-law's business, or working on projects for them, or doing stuff for my son, or family thing, or whatever. You know, something's probably happened that I'm having to deal with that doesn't leave me any time to do my art stuff. Being a wife and mom is very demanding. Yes, it is. I mean, if done right, it is a very demanding job. Not to say that there aren't just some lazy hoe chicks out there that use the housewife and things as an excuse to sit around all day and do nothing, but I am not one of those. As you can see, we've almost gone all the way around our scrunchie here. Beads at the ends, I think, look awesome. There's just like a little touch of pizzazz. And everything needs a little touch of pizzazz on it. Remember, we single crochet into the slip stitch spaces in between the petals. So don't forget that. And 4 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4. Chain 1 with one of the beads. I have to take it off the hook, push the bead through, pull the loop up with the bead on it, and stick your hook back through. And then 4 double crochet back into the same little loop. 1. Hold it a little too far. Alright, so I had to put it up next to the window. My connection's not very good. It looks like it's getting spotty. Hello, people who have been watching my live stream. I think I'm going to have to end it here. We didn't get quite all the way around, but again, my connection's getting a little spotty. But yeah, you just keep going all the way around through all the rest of the loops to the end. When you get to the end, when you get to the end, you just slip stitch to close, you know, tie it off, weave in all your ends, and then put it in your hair. And the whole thing is done from there. See? This is the one that's already done. I did this one with 2 colors. Those are the beads on the end, and that's how you do it. Thanks for tuning in. Stay spooky. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys later. All right. Bye.